Hey everyone, and welcome back to Vietnam Legal and Investment Insights. You know, investing in Vietnam, well, it can be a bit of a maze, especially for us expats, right?
Definitely.
But don't worry, today we're going to break down a really exciting opportunity, the Vietnamese stock market.
That's right.
Now we're going to be using a great article from our very own Vietnam Harley Miller Law Firm blog as our guide.
It's a fantastic resource.
It is. And by the end of this deep dive, you'll have a much clearer picture of how to navigate this market like a pro.
Exactly.
All right, so let's jump right in. First things first, what are the absolute basics someone needs to know about Vietnam's stock market? Like if you're a complete newbie, where do you even start?
Well, the first thing you need to know is that there are two main exchanges in Vietnam. You have the Ho Chi Minh City Stock Exchange. We call that OC for short.
Okay,
And then you have the Hanoi Stock Exchange, or HNX.
got it.
You can think of HOS as like the big leagues, right? That's where you'll find the larger, more established
Big
companies.
players.
Exactly. While HNX is more like a vibrant local market with smaller up-and-coming companies.
Okay, so two different exchanges, kind of like two different flavors of the market.
Precisely.
Got it. Now, who's keeping an eye on all this trading? Is there like a referee making sure everything's running smoothly?
Oh, absolutely. We've got the State Securities Commission of Vietnam, the SSC.
The SSC?
They're the regulators. They set the rules and ensure fair play for everyone.
So they're like the rule makers, the watchdogs.
Exactly. And then we have the Vietnam Securities Depository, or VSD.
Okay, the VSD.
And they handle all the behind-the-scenes stuff to make sure transactions happen smoothly.
So SSC sets the rules, VSD makes sure the game is played right.
You got it.
Okay, I think this is where it gets really interesting for a lot of our listeners. How does a foreigner actually get started investing in Vietnam's stock market? I mean, is it even possible?
Well, the great thing is that Vietnam is very open to foreign investment in its stock market. In most sectors, you can have full ownership of a company if you want.
Wow, that's a big deal. So no restrictions in most sectors.
Not at all. It shows how serious Vietnam is about welcoming foreign investors.
Definitely. But I'm guessing there are some exceptions, right?
Right. There are a few sectors, like banking, for example, where there are limits on foreign ownership. This is mainly to ensure the stability of the financial system.
Makes sense to have some safeguards.
Absolutely. But even with those limits, the opportunities are immense. And the process to get started is actually pretty straightforward. There are three main steps.
Okay, perfect. Let's break those down for our listeners step by step. What's the first one?
First, you'll need to open a securities trading account with a licensed securities company here in Vietnam. It's very similar to opening a regular bank account, but this one is specifically for trading stocks.
Okay, a dedicated account for all our trading activities.
You
Got it. What's next?
The second step is to set up something called a capital contribution account at an authorized bank. This account is where you'll hold the money you'll be using to invest.
So it's like our investment fund account.
Precisely. And there are two types of these accounts. You have the DICA for direct investments and the ICA for indirect investments.
Okay, so DICA is for when you're directly putting money into a company.
Exactly. And ICA is for when you're buying and selling stocks on the exchanges.
Okay, so two different accounts for two different investment styles. Makes sense. What's the third and final step?
Last but not least, you'll need to obtain a securities trading code, or STC, from the VSD.
The VSD we talked about earlier.
Exactly. Think of this as your investor ID card in Vietnam. It's absolutely essential for trading.
So it's like our official stamp of approval to participate in the market.
Precisely.
All right, so I've got our account set up. We have our investor ID. What's next? When can we start making those trades?
Well, trading happens every weekday, Monday to Friday, from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. Vietnam time. So that's something to keep in mind when you're planning your moves.
Right, especially for those of us who might not be used to the time difference. Now let's talk about actually buying and selling those stocks. Is it instant or is there a bit of a delay?
Well, when you buy or sell stocks, there's what's called a settlement cycle. It takes 2 trading days for stock transactions to be finalized and 1 day for bonds.
So it's not instantaneous. We need to be a little patient.
Exactly. And one more thing to keep in mind is that there are daily price limits on the Vietnamese stock market.
Price limits, what does that mean?
It means there's a cap on how much a stock price can go up or down in a single day.
Oh, interesting. So why do they have these price limits?
Well, it's mainly to prevent huge price swings and to keep the market a little more stable.
Makes sense. Kind of like a safety net for investors.
Precisely. Now let's shift gears and talk about something really crucial for all investors, but especially for foreign investors: Compliance.
Okay, compliance, making sure we're playing by the rules.
Exactly. It's not just about avoiding trouble, it's about making sure the market is transparent and fair for everyone.
So it's about protecting everyone involved.
Precisely. And one of the key things for foreign investors is reporting any significant changes in your ownership of a company.
So if we buy or sell a large chunk of a company, we need to let the authorities know.
Exactly. Transparency is key. It helps prevent market manipulation and ensures everyone's on a level playing field.
Okay, no secret stockpiles, got it. And what about insider trading? Is that a concern here in Vietnam?
Absolutely. Insider trading is strictly prohibited, just like in most other major markets around the world.
So no using confidential information for personal gain. It's all about fair play.
Exactly. Now, before we move on, there's one more thing I want to mention regarding paperwork.
Okay, paperwork always important.
To get that securities trading code we talked about and open your trading account, you'll need a few documents. Your passport, for instance, authorization letters, and some proof of your financial standing.
Sounds like a standard procedure.
It is. And if you're not sure what documents you need, don't worry. The Vietnam Harley Miller Law Firm blog has a comprehensive list.
Perfect. So now that we've got the basics down, we're ready to dive deeper into the specifics of investing in Vietnam.
Welcome back to Vietnam Legal and Investment Insights. Now let's take a closer look at those investment accounts we mentioned. The DICA and the ICA.
Right. Those sounded pretty important. Can we break those down a bit more?
Absolutely. So if you're thinking about investing directly in a Vietnamese company, like, setting up a shop here or taking a major stake in an existing business, then you'll need a DICA.
A DICA.
Yeah, that stands for Direct Investment Capital Account.
Okay. Direct Investment Capital Account.
It basically allows you to manage your investment funds within the Vietnamese banking system.
Got it. So for those big moves, direct investments, DICA is the way to go.
Exactly. Now, on the other hand, if you're more interested in indirect investments, like buying and selling stocks on the Vietnamese stock market, then you'll need an ICA.
ICA. And that stands for?
Indirect Investment Capital Account.
Right. Indirect Investment Capital Account.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm not setting up a whole company here but want to play the stock market, ICA is the account I need.
Precisely. And one important thing to remember about the IIA is that all transactions have to be done in Vietnamese dong.
So currency exchange is something to keep in mind as well.
Absolutely.
Okay, good to know. Now let's circle back to that securities trading code, the STC. It's like our investor passport, right?
Exactly. You need it to open a trading account and actually start buying and selling.
So what's the process like for getting an STC?
It's pretty straightforward, actually. You just need to fill out an application form, provide some ID, like your passport, and if someone's applying on your behalf, they'll need an authorization letter. Nothing too complicated.
Sounds manageable. So once we have that STC, we're all set to trade.
Well, almost. You still need to open that trading account with a licensed securities company.
Right. They're the ones who actually facilitate the buying and selling of stocks and bonds.
Exactly. And choosing the right securities company is important.
Okay, so we need to do our homework and find a company that aligns with our investment goals and offers the right support.
Exactly. You want to look into their reputation, the fees they charge, and the level of service they provide.
Great advice. Now let's get back to compliance for a moment. This is crucial stuff, right?
Oh, absolutely. Compliance is about ensuring the market is transparent and fair for everyone.
It's about playing by the rules, but it's also about protecting everyone involved, right?
Exactly. And one of the most important things for foreign investors to remember is to report any significant changes in their ownership of a company.
Right. So if we buy or sell a large portion of a listed company, we need to let the authorities know.
Exactly. Transparency is key. It helps prevent market manipulation and ensures everyone's playing on a level playing field.
No secret stockpiles, got it. And what about insider trading? Is that a concern in Vietnam?
Absolutely. Insider trading is illegal here, just like in most major markets around the world.
Right. No using confidential information for personal gain. It's all about fair play.
Precisely. Now, besides reporting changes in ownership and avoiding insider trading, what are some other key aspects of compliance that foreign investors should be aware of?
Yeah. What else should we be keeping in mind?
Well, tax compliance is really important. You need to report any income you earn from your investments and pay the appropriate taxes.
So talking to a tax advisor is probably a good idea.
Definitely. It's always best to get professional advice when it comes to taxes.
Makes sense. Anything else?
One more thing. It's important to keep your accounts active and up to date.
Active and up to date.
That means providing your securities company with any necessary documents or information they request. It's about staying organized and keeping them in the loop.
Okay. So keep things tidy and communicate with our securities company. Got it. Now let's talk about the bigger picture for a moment. What are some of the trends happening in Vietnam's stock market that foreign investors should be paying attention to?
Well, one of the most exciting things is that Vietnam is actively working to make its stock market even more attractive to foreign investors.
Oh, that's great to hear.
Yeah.
So they're really trying to roll out the red carpet for us.
They are. They see the value that foreign investment brings, and they're committed to creating a welcoming and supportive environment.
That's fantastic. What kind of initiatives are they taking to achieve this?
Well, for one thing, they're streamlining the process of opening accounts and getting those trading codes we talked about.
So less red tape, more opportunity.
Exactly. They're also working on upgrading the market's infrastructure.
What does that involve?
Things like improving the trading systems, enhancing data dissemination, and strengthening the regulations that govern the market. It's about building a strong and modern market that can compete on a global scale.
So it's a long-term vision for growth and stability.
Absolutely. And alongside infrastructure, they're also focusing on transparency and corporate governance.
What does that entail?
Well, it means encouraging companies to be more open with their financial information and putting stronger investor protections in place.
So building trust and confidence in the market.
Exactly. It's about creating a level playing field and protecting the interests of all investors.
That makes a lot of sense. And are these efforts already having a positive impact?
They are. We're seeing more and more foreign investors showing interest in Vietnam's stock market.
That's great news. So it sounds like Vietnam is really on the path to becoming a major player in the global financial arena.
It is, and it's an exciting time to be a part of it. The potential is huge, and the government is actively working to make it a rewarding experience for foreign investors.
Absolutely. So to recap what we've covered in this part of our deep dive, we talked about the ins and outs of those investment accounts, DICA and ICA.
We also delved into the importance of compliance and explored some of the key trends shaping Vietnam's stock market.
Right. But remember, we've only scratched the surface here.
Exactly. Investing in any market requires careful planning and research.
And that's where Vietnam Harley Miller Law Firm comes in.
We can provide you with the guidance and support you need to navigate this market successfully.
Absolutely. We understand the nuances of the Vietnamese market, the regulations, the business landscape. We can help you make informed decisions every step of the way.
Think of us as your trusted partners in Vietnam.
Perfect. So to sum up what we've learned so far, it's essential to have a clear investment plan, do your research, diversify your investments, and seek expert advice when needed.
And above all, don't underestimate the value of working with a local firm like ours that truly understands the intricacies of the Vietnamese market.
Couldn't agree more. Now let's shift gears and talk about some practical strategies and considerations for foreign investors who are ready to make their mark in Vietnam's stock market. Okay, we're back for the final stretch of our deep dive into Vietnam's stock market and how we as foreign investors can make it work for us.
Yeah, we've covered a lot of ground, haven't we? From the basics to the accounts, the rules, and even a glimpse into the future.
We have. But now it's time to get down to brass tacks, right? Let's talk strategy. What are some practical tips for making smart investment decisions in Vietnam?
You got it. Well, the most important thing is to have a clear investment strategy. You know, what are you trying to achieve? Short-term gains, long-term growth. How much risk are you comfortable taking on? It's all about defining your goals.
It's like anything else, right? You need a plan.
Exactly. Once you have that solid strategy in place, you can start researching specific sectors and companies that align with your objectives.
Now, Vietnam's economy is pretty diverse, right? Lots of different industries to consider.
Absolutely. Manufacturing, technology, tourism, agriculture, you name it. Vietnam's got it.
So where do we even begin? Are there any sectors that are particularly hot right now?
Well, the tech sector is booming in Vietnam. Lots of exciting startups are attracting attention from investors worldwide.
Tech is always a good bet.
It is. And with a growing middle class and rising purchasing power, consumer-focused businesses are also a solid option.
So plenty of opportunities. But how do we know which companies to actually invest in?
Research is key. Due diligence is your best friend.
Right. Don't just jump on the bandwagon because everyone's talking about a certain stock.
Exactly. Make informed decisions based on solid research. Look into the companies you're interested in, understand their financials, their growth potential, and any risks involved.
Makes sense. Now, what about diversification? Isn't that important too?
Absolutely. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. Spread your investments across different sectors and companies to manage risk.
So if one investment doesn't perform as expected, the others can help balance things out.
That's the idea. Diversification helps create a safety net for your investments.
Now, here's something that I think a lot of foreign investors might overlook: the importance of local expertise.
Couldn't agree more. Having a trusted local partner can make all the difference.
Someone who understands the ins and outs of the Vietnamese market.
Exactly. And that's where a firm like ours, Vietnam Harley Miller Law Firm, can really add value. We can help you navigate the complexities of the market, connect you with the right people, and provide ongoing support throughout your investment journey.
Where your boots on the ground, so to speak.
Precisely. So to wrap up our deep dive, what are some of the key takeaways for foreign investors exploring Vietnam's stock market?
Okay, let's distill it down to the essentials.
First, have a clear investment strategy. Know your goals and your risk tolerance.
Right, a roadmap for success.
Second, do your research. Don't invest blindly. Understand the companies and sectors you're interested in.
Informed decisions are key.
Third, diversify your portfolio. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. Spread that risk.
Makes sense. And finally,
leverage the expertise of local professionals like us at Vietnam Harley Miller Law Firm. We can guide you through the intricacies of the Vietnamese market and help you achieve your investment goals.
great advice. And remember, folks, Vietnam's stock market is still developing. There will be ups and downs.
That's part of the journey.
But with the right approach, a solid strategy, and a long-term perspective, the potential for growth is undeniable.
Absolutely. Stay informed, stay adaptable, and stay patient.
And most importantly, don't be afraid to ask for help. Vietnam Harley Miller Law Firm is here to support you every step of the way. Thanks for joining us on this exciting deep dive into Vietnam's stock market. We hope you found this information valuable, and we look forward to seeing you in our next episode.